Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Finnyfella Trader. I just thought I'd go over a couple of trades that I've done. I didn't make any videos yesterday, but it says I'll go over a couple of trades that I've done for yesterday and today and explain the ones I lost and the ones I won and what I was thinking of at the time and what I could see. And hopefully, by me telling you what I see, it helps you on your journey to become a better trader that I'm striving for. So I'll just get stuck right into it. As you can see, this is the daily chart. And if you've watched my videos in the past, you can see that I don't know, this just keeps shouting at me, but this is what really caught me out on a few of my losing trades was I was expecting the market to roll over here once it run into this daily fair value gap and came off this daily order block. Because once the market hit that originally, it absolutely melted. But unfortunately, that did not happen. So I've myself to blame because I kind of had my mind made up where the market was going before I even looked at the market that morning almost. But and I was always looking for sells, and I did win in sells as well. But I should have waited. Really, when I look at it, all this liquidity sitting up here, and there's also a 4 hour for value gap up in here. So the market possibly could be coming up to take out these highs and run into a fair value gap that's actually up here or just continue on. But I think I still will be looking for sells somewhere along here because I just feel like it has to roll over a little bit before coming back. So there's going to be liquidity sitting down here, on this daily fair value gap. So I'll just switch it to the 4 hour time frame. Give you a closer idea of what I was looking at. So this, if you remember, is the daily fair value gap, and it did completely fill it. And I did get a few sells in that winning trades, but it also came back up, retested it, and rolled over again, but didn't quite make a new low. So when that happened, at the time, I never really thought much of it. I was too busy obsessing over this daily fair value gap below, expecting the market to roll over and it, but it didn't. And here is the daily order block, after the impulse. So I'll just go back to the daily for five seconds or so. You can see what I mean. This is the daily order block that the market impulsed away from. So if it marked up, you know, if the market does roll over, I do expect it to come down in here and possibly fill all this here up. This gap from here to here. It's a good area to look out for, I believe, going into the future. So here down on the 1 hour, I it was yesterday I lost a few trades here because really looking for sells because I said run in this fair value gap and cleared out a bit of liquidity over here, over at this side, and these highs. And I expected the market to roll back down over. Again, I was trying to tell the market what to do instead of me, or instead of the market telling me what to do. So I'll just roll into the 15 minutes. I'll show you the trade that I entered and lost yesterday and why I entered them. Now here, this is just after the 11:30 New York. This low was broken on the 15 minute. And I kept thinking to myself, down here is a load of sell side liquidity. I was expecting the market to at least retrace down into this area here, or even this area here, at least into the equilibrium of that impulse. So going down into the 5 minute, I'll explain what I was looking at. The London session kept pushing the market up, but I was expecting the market rollover. And again, when this low was broken, these candles here, a bit of imbalance, a bit of a breaker. I thought if the market comes up quick into this fair value gap, which will be clear to see in the 1 minute, then I'll be looking for a sell. But I wanted to see the market again. I like to see the market kind of race away from an entry, and I kind of like it after the enter. It's just maybe it's wrong. I'm not sure. That's how I like to trade. I like to see some sort of movement in my direction. So breaking it down into 1 minute. Sorry about this. I'll explain this trade now. So as you can see, the market came down, broke this low, broke this low, broke this low, didn't take out this high, but it did come up really quick into this fair value gap and came off this order block, which I had marked out. Now this circle, because I did not want to see this high taken out, and I'm aware, I don't know if you can see that, but there is also between here and here another fair value gap. So I'll just mark that out just for a second so you know what I was thinking in my head. So I was happy enough. See the market come in here. I actually entered on this candle here, this rush into it, and that's where I took a sell trade. And I'll just put on my execution so you can understand. This candle here is where I entered. Now, on the 1 minute here, I was delighted to see that yes, the market had reacted lovely off this and then came down. But it came back very quick, which got me a little bit nervous. I didn't want to see that, especially seeing this coming back up and this these highs here taking out these highs. Although they just run straight into that fair value gap, as I see, so it gave me a bit of confidence to hold on. Did not want to see this come out. So whenever this market run up in again, tested it again, and then came down, but didn't quite break this low, I said to myself, if that comes back again, I am going to shut the trade because I just lost all confidence and I wanted to see a bit more strength pushing down and breaking this low on the 1 minute. So I actually used this high as my decision to exit or not. And I actually used this order block. I'll just put a line just straight across it really quick to show you. This order block as a means of my exit. So whenever this came down, reacted a few times and closed below that order block over here, I decided this candle here was the one that I was going to exit on if it came back, which it did. It just broke through that and I immediately closed it because I was like, I'm not going to enter a trade or stay in a trade that I feel isn't going in my direction. So if you can imagine, I wanted to see these lows taken out and possibly these lows over here. So I had a one to two trade and I closed about 50% of what I was willing to risk. And I lost that trade. And thankfully I did close it because eventually the market did come up and it would have took me fully out. But I'll show you here why sometimes closing a trade early doesn't doesn't quite work out as you would expect. I'm just going to take my executions off and explain the trade as I go along. So this was obviously the Asian range. I'll remove this of last night. And the market was fluctuating between these two. Now, my first entry in a trade was based on the 1 minute. So it wants this is the London Open, by the way. I just thought this seems like a Judas swing, so because the market moved down pretty quick, and if I go to the 15 minute, just to show you what was in my head, I'll go to the 15 minute here. The market reacted. Just pull out my fib. Perfect to that 0.705. That's like the last hurrah for me. So this impulse more or less happened in the Asian session. And the market rolled back over to go for premium prices. That's what I was thinking at the time. And when it didn't break this Asia low, I thought, now if I'm going to look for a push, which I did look for in 1 minute. It was actually this push that convinced me to go in the trade because it broke this high and this high. And I just thought, right, when the market comes back down, I'm going to enter in this fair value gap. And again, I had a 2 to 1, 20 pip stop loss. But I did not want to see the market come down this low. This is what makes me nervous. I say if I take it the fib again, I really didn't want to see the market go past this, and especially past this fair value gap here between this candle's high and this candle's low. And I did it close below that, and I immediately closed the trade because it just felt it didn't come, it wasn't working out how I wanted it to work out. And when I get that intuition feeling, when I get that like it's maybe something I have to work on too, maybe have a bit more belief in myself and the in this style of trading. But I'm gonna build that up over time. But at the minute I just didn't want to see it come down here, which it did, so I closed the trade on this candle because it started to sink rather fast and went past this fair value gap here. I'll just mark it out just so you can, for those of you that can't see. And I know it closed more or less in the fair value gap. I just did not want to see it push further. And trading's not perfect. It's you're not always going to see that. Like for example, this fair value gap over here, it's the exact same thing happened, but I lost my nerve and I closed the trade. As soon as I closed the trade, like literally the next candle, as you see, just took off, and my heart sank a little, especially because it took out this high, this high, this high, and I understand there's a fair value gap up in here, but I just felt that morning was the Judas swing. The London Judas swing was running down, and even though it reacted off this fair value gap and sunk, I still believe we're going to see along because there is a strength in the DAXI, or sorry, in the British pound index right now compared to the DAXI. And I checked the 10-year bond in the US dollar, and it was weak. It's losing strength as well. So for me, that's a sign that DAX is getting weak and the British pound's getting a bit stronger. So that's why I started to change my mindset about looking for buys. And just to take you out into the daily, this is also another reason why I decided to look for buys was this 4 hour fair value gap and this liquidity sitting above here, which is easier for the market to reach. It's up here right now. It's not down here. So I'm going to wait for sells either when I get a real good sign on this 4 hour fair value gap or after this liquidity is taken out, and then the market might drop into this fair value, the daily fair value gap. But that's what made me ultimately change my mind and look for buys instead of sells. But my obsession with the daily fair value gap below kind of put me off my trading a little. I was just thinking sell, 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 you know. But to go into the winning trade now, after this market pushed away, remember I had closed down here. It came back pretty quick into this fair value gap, and I entered on, I'm pretty sure it was this candle here or this one. And I also put my fib on it down at this area here. So as you can see, the market, if I just fix this a wee bit cleaner. The market came down, tested fibbing away, and came back down again in this fair value gap, almost into the 7.05 area, and reacted nicely on this fair value gap. Now, my aim was, and this is one of ACT's things as well, my aim was I took my fib from this high down to this low, and I used, obviously, the liquidity is sitting above here. This is also the New York Midnight Open, and I used this 1.27 on the fib as my target, a bit short of it, because I like to go a bit short of it. I didn't want to go mad above this or mad above this. I just expected this to be taken out and maybe a push to the 1.27, which it eventually did come to. So I actually put my, pretty sure I went to 50 pips. Just get this close to 50. That was my target, 2.5, 1 to 2.5 target. And I'll just put on my executions so you can see. Settings, executions. As you can see, I entered on this. I closed here on this candle. And again, I entered on this candle here that run down into 1 minute fair value gap. And once it tapped into this New York Open, yes, I was a wee bit nervous because sometimes the market can just go to that and rally off. But, I used my fib as a bit of confidence, and I also used this, if you remember, this fair value gap above here on liquidity. That's above this over to the left-hand side as an area I'd like to target to find liquidity. If I was big banks or hedge or hedge funds, that's what I would be targeting before I maybe start looking for sells. So, as you can see, this is where I ultimately got out of the trade. And this candle here. Actually, could have been 60 pips. No, it wasn't. It was 50 or 55. Sorry about that, but it was one of these, and I'm not quite perfect on this here. It was up here a wee bit more. And that's how I won today's trade. And I'll just show you my paper trading. So as you can see, I got, well, not even count that one, but we got 3 losses in a row, and then this trade is, the 2.5 to 1 winning trade. And that's all the trading I'm going to do this week. It's Thursday. I'm happy enough. I think my account now is around 7 days trading. Let's see. So we have, there's the 14th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days trading, roughly around 5.8%, 5.7% in profit within them days. But I understand, there is more than 7 trades here, but a lot of them's partials as well. So on that note, that is how I traded today and yesterday. And the truth is, I remember thinking at the time, excuse me, I remember thinking at the time, whenever I close this trade here, it's very hard to get yourself built up again, your confidence built up again to enter again, because sometimes you feel like, the fear of missing out kicks in, or, excuse me, sometimes you feel like the fear of missing out is kicking in, or you're chasing the market, or because you lost the trade, you're revenge trading almost. And People don't tell you about that. That's kind of the things that goes through every trader's head. Am I doing this right? Am I revenge trading? Is FOMO taking effect? You know, and at the same time, you have to find the courage to enter under your rules, under your style of trading, under your understanding of the market. Like I could very easily say after that was closed out today, I'm not trading. I've lost three in a row. I don't want to I don't want to trade anymore today. And that was going through my head. I was like, "God damn, I lost three in a row and I was doing all right. And am I revenge trading or am I not reading this market right?" And I was thinking, like, is this the time the market's going to roll over now? And I should be looking for sells at this time. But sometimes you have to take a step back, look at the bigger picture, like as I was explaining on the daily, to see where the liquidity is. And it's easier to reach that liquidity at the top. Now, for all I know, the market could, absolutely sink, but that could happen as easily tomorrow or today. But in that moment in time, you have to read the charts. You have to have a little bit of confidence in the direction you're wanting to trade, based on the daily bias at least, or even the 4 hour at least. To just build that confidence in, yes, I do need to enter again, and when to hold on, because you can read all the books you want, we can watch all the videos we want, but unless we have an understanding of ourselves and how we think, we're never going to learn how to trade properly, or so I believe. And it takes a long time to figure that out. It's not just like, ICT is, it's phenomenal, like, but it's also a very lonely journey because ICD doesn't think like you. He doesn't think like me. I don't think like you. You don't think like me. We're all unique. We're all different. So we all see things different ways, and we all have different emotions to the market and different emotions to losing and winning, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of, I hate to say, a lot of almost hurt, for use of a better word, to figure that out. So even though you may have the right edge, you also have to redefine yourself, redesign yourself to suit winning in the market. Because this is just one big algorithm that is a master at human psychology, as far as I'm concerned. It understands exactly what you're thinking. It's studied people for years. Like, it's took money and made people, like, destroyed people's financial life for years, and it knows how to do it. It knows exactly what you're thinking. It knows exactly that if I just take the market down here, I'll suck in sellers when really I'm going to reverse and go for buys, if you know what I mean. Like, even that understanding of the Asian range, what's happened in that time frame, gives you a good idea of where the market may or may not go. And that takes a lot of time to learn. I'm still learning it. Like, I'm up 5.8%, whoop de doo. Like, well, what does that mean? That means F all, to be honest. You are going to find a lot of dark days in this trading. You're going to find a lot of days where you think you're not good enough. You think to yourself, am I that guy or girl that's not going to get this? And that's doubt. That's doubt that's creeped into every. I don't care who you are as a trader. That thought may enter your head, but I I can't make people think this way. You have got to realize that if you do not quit, you will get this. Like, I hear traders all the time saying, 98% don't get it, but that's because 98% only decide to trade the one way. They're not willing to test themselves or go through like hurt to start understanding the market. And you have to go through the hurt. You have to, not a gambling mentality, like, oh, I'm just going to enter here just for the sake of it. You have to understand why you entered, why you closed the trade, why you held on, why you didn't enter, and what you need to be looking out for. It's gamblers that will fail at this. It's people that don't have the backbone and the relentless attitude to keep on going on the shitty days that you will have ahead. So I hope that's kind of nailed it into somebody's maybe struggling today, that you're not useless. You just don't understand what the market's telling you. You don't understand the wee tricks and traps the market the market is putting in place. And even the best in the world, the multi-millionaire traders, make mistakes. So don't be hard on yourself. Like, we are all human. We are going to make mistakes. We are not robots. And just have that belief in yourself. Have that relentless attitude that I am going to make it someday. You just don't know when. Just keep going. So that's me. I'm going to leave it at that. I probably won't make another video till maybe Tuesday. I've, believe it or not, I grew up in a household. My father was a mechanic, so the joys of growing up around cars means that people want you to do stuff in their car for free, friends, which I'm happy enough to do. And my own car, so if an X5 there, the turbo's blue in it, and I have to take that out, replace it. Absolute nightmare. But it is what it is. So I'm going to be working over the weekend, switching off, um, probably taking a wee sneaky peek. Like, I do enjoy the market, so I'm going to take a wee sneaky peek now and again and see what it's actually doing, or maybe set alerts. But folks, have a good weekend. Don't be hard on yourself. Keep going, and you will make it. Okay, that's enough for me. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, comment, let me know how you're getting on or anything you'd like to understand. I'm happy enough to help anybody. So thank you and peace.